How's everybody doing? Hopefully, we're enjoying the slightly warmer weather after that unbelievable cold we had to go through.
You obviously haven't looked at the weather in the UP. We are in a
Oh
snow
no, Deb.
globe right now, expecting 10 to 15 inches of snow today.
10 to 15! Oh
So let's
my.
just put it
Oh.
into perspective
Yep.
for everyone.
Thank you, Deb. I appreciate it. Keeping it real for us. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
In Gaylord, we're getting every single bit of possible weather today. We've had rain and sleet and freezing rain and snow and sunshine, and
It's ever
it's just been
changing.
wild.
Yeah.
All the
That
things.
that's us. That's us.
That's how my drive was yesterday. I had to go to East Jordan and I had freezing rain, thunder, lightning, snow. I'm like, wow, this is nuts. Yeah.
Yowza. All right. Looks like the waiting room is slowing down a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and start with just our opening information. Let me share my screen. Alrighty. So, it's great to see you all for our peer learning community for February. We're going to dive right in with just a couple updates. The first one is we're super excited to be welcoming Networks Northwest. I see Chris here today, which is super exciting. We're really glad that they're picking up the networks that were previously covered by United Way of Northwest Michigan. We're delighted that we see Chris again. So we've got same FCCN staff, and they're picking up the networks right where they left off. We're also, in addition, we want to just recognize the exciting work of my side, who are starting up their networks that are covering Oakland and Macomb counties. And then we also wanted to just share out a reminder about the opportunity to support MyLeap as a curriculum reviewer. We had sent out that email with a link to register a few weeks ago. We can include that link again in the chat and in the post-PLC recap email today. It's an important opportunity to add home-based childcare provider perspectives to the curriculum that are under review by MyLeap to become approved for recognition in GSQ. The opportunity is open to both providers and also to Hub staff. So we got a couple questions in from you all. We learned that so it is a voluntary role, so there's no compensation offered for it. So obviously that does limit the network members who might be able to participate. So it may be a better opportunity for Hub staff who can, as part of their work and as part of their perspective, really bring forward the voice of their network members when they are doing that review. Or if there are home-based childcare providers who are network members who are really passionate and do want to volunteer their expertise, they're certainly welcome to fill that out as well. So really it is one of those things where we just wanted to make sure that the opportunity was out there and that people knew about that.
Hey, Sebastian,
Yes.
when we're doing updates, can I just say that we would like to welcome Kristen Carlson. Lisa has moved on, and Kristen is, we've moved it in-house, and Kristen has taken over. So I just wanted to, as people are going, who's that Kristen Carlson girl? She be ours. We're super excited.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Deb, and welcome, Kristen. Actually, right after we get through the agenda, we're going to do our connection activity, and we will love to hear from you as well. So, absolutely fantastic. Glad to have you here with us. So, our agenda for today, as I mentioned, we're going to run through a connection activity. And then we're really going to settle in on we're going to talk about three different things today. The first is we're going to review virtual meetings again. So we're going to be diving into what we talked about last time and some updates around it and really focusing in on like how can we utilize the virtual meeting option and make it really high quality and something that then can be utilized in the FCCN initiative. We are also going to review the meeting reflection tool that we put together last time. We are going to review it in small groups. We'll do breakout rooms with an eye toward making revisions and finalizing that tool using all of your input and all of your reflections to create a helpful tool for Hub staff, network member leaders, and anyone who is curious about the initiative to understand the rigor that you all put into those meetings. And then lastly, with our last few minutes, we'll be reviewing the upcoming March data collection, focusing on the network member survey that's coming up. and I'll do my best to answer any questions you have about that process then. I'll be sharing an added 2 items so that you can know what to expect and giving an overall sense of the timeline as well. All right. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Amanda for our connection activity.
Awesome. Thanks, Sebastian. Okay, so for today's connection activity, we're going to talk about something that's probably been on a lot of our television screens for the last week and a half, the Winter Olympics. I've added 4 different sports to this slide, but no, there's many other cool Winter Olympic sports that aren't represented here. It was a tough to choose. But I would love for us just to come off mute or enter in the chat your name, hub, and which numbered sport from this slide that you would volunteer to try, knowing that you'd be given a lot of time, support, resources, guidance. So keeping all of those things in mind, I would love ideally if maybe 3 or 4 of you would be willing to come off mute to share. And I can start by going first. My name's Amanda Kangas with ECIC. I'm our Innovation Associate for FCCN. And I would have to go with number 1. I grew up watching figure skating. I love to pretend figure skate in the living room. I think if I had all the support available, I'd want to give it a try. Deb, I see you off mute. Do you want to
No,
go?
that was a mistake. It was a mistake, but I would probably, because I'm most familiar with hockey, that would be mine.
Love it.
Because we grew up with hockey.
So I will go off mute. And I'm choosing number 3 because I did, in fact, try number 3 again in January, and not quite as bad as Lindsey Vaughn, but I got a nice little knee injury number 3, so was
Oh
great,
no.
but did not go to plan. So I thought that was kind of ironic.
Well, I give you a lot of props for trying, Aubrey. I am terrified of downhill skiing, so I give anybody major kudos who can do it or try and be brave. So that's great. You see, we have some responses coming in the chat too. I love the variety here. I wasn't sure how it would shake out, but I'm seeing just different responses across the board here. We got some skiing coming in, some figure skating. Let's see. So I see some other hockey ones as well. Oh, we got some luge too. So a little bit of everything. Anybody else want to share?
This is Gwen Shivers with my side. And I would go with number 1, the figure skating. I love to watch them glazing against the ice when they're skating.
Yes.
The performance.
I agree. Thanks, Gwen. Awesome. I see some torn. Yes, it's a lot of it's a tough choice. Well, thank you all. Anybody else before we move on to our next slide? All right. Well, Sebastian, I will pass it over to you.
Great. Thanks so much, Amanda. All right. So, moving on, we are just going to quickly review our. This is a slide that we had on our PLC last time, and so we wanted to continue to emphasize, just for everybody, make sure everyone's always on the same page about the FCCN meeting requirements. So we just wanted to mention that anytime that there is a meeting that is offering food, the federal funding requirements require that they have a sign-in sheet and an agenda. And so we talked about that last time, what that might entail. And we also mentioned that it's a really strong thing for your agenda to have a learning objective, intended outcome, or key topic that's directly related to the benchmarks, and it can factor into the type of meeting that you're working on having, and what you want to do with that meeting. So we also mentioned that meetings should be designed for an in-person or hybrid meeting format, and we had a lot of questions and concerns about that requirement. So following those conversations, we took that to our compliance team at ECIC, and we explained the different things that we were hearing, and we really wanted to make sure that we talked through a little bit more today, how that would be why that happened, like why we have virtual meetings, and how we can make them something that is really a strong choice for some of our FCCNs. So the updated guidance is that 5 of your meetings can be virtual with like no questions asked. So that should cover, those situations where the virtual attendance takes place because of weather or things of that nature. And you can also, we also heard from you that planning things out. So like if you know that the winter months, for example, are ones where travel is really complicated, you can plan on up to 5 of them being in that virtual format. If you feel like you need more than this, we would be happy to have a conversation with you and document the rationale behind your approach. So I want you to hear right now in this PLC that we're like working toward making that more possible. And so what we're going to be doing today with our next activity is going to be talking about why virtual meetings have a little bit more scrutiny around them, and what we can do about it. So we also got questions, to give a little background, we got questions about why there was such an emphasis on in-person meeting. And so to give a little bit of background about the challenges around those virtual meetings, there's a strong focus on ensuring that all funds are spent as effectively as possible. While we're working on projects that reflect the needs and preferences of our network members, there's also external partners, legislators, and others who would need to be convinced of the efficacy of the approach that we're using. And so existing research on FCCNs has demonstrated that they're really powerful because there's a large and positive effect on the quality that providers who are affiliated with networks there's a large positive effect of participating in networks when they have really supportive interactions between network staff and providers. They also, in that same study, showed that referrals to training, so just taking a virtual training without a on-site component, doesn't have an effect on quality the way that participating in a network does. And so their takeaway was that the staffing is so important of family childcare networks. And and we've been using that kind of rationale to say we need to fund staff for these networks. It's really important. They have a huge and important role in making these impacts occur. And so what we want to be thinking about then is when you use a virtual meeting, what are the things that ensure those like high quality interactions are taking place and that it's supportive of network members really taking what they're learning and taking what they're developing and putting it into practice. And so we know from conversations that we've been having with you in progress meetings and otherwise that is something you are doing and that is very possible. And so we want to document that today and moving forward. So the first thing we're going to be doing, we're switching into a bit of an activity here. So we're going to talk about, for those of you who have been doing virtual meetings, we really want to do a kind of group share out and brainstorm right now about the strategies. I'm going to take notes. The strategies that you use to ensure that there are supportive interactions going on, both between network members and hub staff when you use a virtual meeting. So we can take a second to think about that, but we would really appreciate sharing in the chat and also coming off mute to share with us so that I can take some notes. The idea here would be that we're supporting one another in hearing about strong virtual strategies that you use that you would put forward for others to perhaps try out or demonstrate as really impactful.
I can start with following the virtual meeting. We have a group chat that I sometimes can get like 100 texts in a row. They're just going crazy, talking to each other. discussing what they learned, what they liked, what they've tried that they found from the training. So it's a sort of an ever-going, ongoing connection.
Kim, I'm curious about that. Do you like after a virtual meeting, is it just network members chiming in? Is there like a prompt that gets them going? Like how does that usually play out after a meeting?
It's pretty organic. They bring things up, like the January one. Um, Dr. Kelly Vagance from Ferris State University presented. And one of the things she discussed was using AI tools to design your space. And that just inspired so many of the people. And they were trying it and sending each other pictures about this is what AI said I could do with my room differently. And it was just great, really rich conversation and quite enjoyable to sit back and watch happen.
I love that example. Thanks for sharing.
Well, I think we do a lot. We do virtual throughout the winter months, right? And one of the reasons that we do that is because we have a 15 county region and we have winter. Okay. And so safety is a major concern of mine. And so we do the virtual pretty much through March. Fingers crossed. We've got a lot of snow though, hoping it's gone, so that April is able to be back face to face. But even with that, when we do face to face, with the 15 counties, we have found the majority of our members right now are concentrated in the Central and the Marquette area, as well as the Copper Country. And so what we typically will do is the Marquette group will meet in Marquette and those that are surrounding, and the other group will meet up in the Copper Country, and we'll Zoom the two locations together so that there's still that organic, as I'm going to use that word today, Kim, conversation. And then after our meeting is when they do we just learned yesterday they would prefer to do that survey the day after when they've got time to think about it. But then they also have that coaching visit. And then they have a Facebook page where they are communicating back and forth with each other. So for us, really, it's more about safety and meeting the travel needs, right, of the participants and the facilitator.
Thanks, Deb, and thanks for sharing your hybrid approach, which is a little unique, right? And that you have your two groups meeting and then how they're still able to stay connected. So thanks for sharing. I also want to add, we just have some items coming in the chat, and I just want to lift that any of the comments coming through for this table will be added into the table after, and I'll make sure to share the updated slides in the post PLC email.
I'll jump in and share if it's okay. This is Rebecca Keller from Mainspring. We typically try to use the same format, whether we're in person or virtual. And so we do try to do a good mix of it just because Kent County is kind of spread geographically. So for our members, it works well to have a mix of in-person. But during our planning, we really try to find ways to incorporate participation and reflection throughout the facilitation of the topic. So we include a grounding activity to open every meeting to get everybody grounded and have participation built in. We also have built-in reflection questions throughout our topics as much as possible, just to kind of stop and reflect on what we've learned throughout our time together. We also have as a group, establish group norms and expectations to help our members feel comfortable and be able to share in what they need to feel comfortable in sharing and asking questions. And then we also have incorporated our exit ticket, so we can always try to be reflective on things that we might need to do to improve our facilitation or helping everybody feel comfortable in being involved.
Thanks, Rebecca. And I That's a great point too in terms of the format. So you have the same one, whether it's in person or virtual, people know what to expect and how that can also encourage that participation when you all aren't in the same room. Shanae, I see your hand up.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear
Oh,
you.
okay,
Yep.
good. Okay, because my headphones was doing something strange. Yeah, I just want to share that. First of all, I'm very interested in the research that you quoted, and would love to see kind of the pieces on that. I think what we try to do is design in, using adult learning theory. We know that adult learning theory is going to move things, forward. And there's very specific facilitation strategies that allow that to. I mean, the core issue around adult learning is that that each learner and person is seen as also an expert, bringing expertise to the table. And so that really is a construction of the time. It's similar to what you all are doing here, right? I mean, you're drawing upon the expertise that's in the room. You're providing opportunities to do breakouts, to talk in smaller groups, to be more intimate in that nature. And so because we are multi-county, we see a need to be able to do that so that it's inclusive, and because people are working all day and that they've decided a certain time that they wanted to be together, that also facilitates that. So really it's at the core of our design is adult learning theory. So like things like KWLs, and there are other strategies that are used to do that. This is the same thing that's being used also in regular teaching, and professional development with teachers.
Thanks,
Wonderful.
Shanae, and thanks for lifting that as well and your incorporation of adult learning theory and how you can utilize those strategies in a virtual environment as well. Kim, I see you next.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You're
Okay,
good.
great. Good to be here today. I just wanted to share. So we use both virtual meetings and in person, but they're for two distinct purposes. So we meet, it used to be twice a month. Currently it's monthly, virtually with our provider network members. And those meetings are specific to providing updates, pertinent information related to licensing, anything else that needs to be shared out in a timely manner. And then we also use that, kind of piggybacking off of what Shanae said, to have the providers interact and share their experience, or if they've had a recent success. Let's say someone increased their quality rating. They can share that with the group. They can talk about the experience and what it looked like and encourage others. We don't use, I shouldn't say exclusively, but we typically do not use the virtual meetings for trainings, just because we understand there's providers, even though we're having them in the evenings. Some of our network members work first shift, some second shift. There's some that can be on screen and engaged, and some that are just listening. So we take that into consideration. And then our in-person are used for having a trainer come in. For example, in January, we had our tax and record keeping training. Doing that in person with our interpreters so that our network members can engage and ask questions.
Thanks, Kim. Thanks for sharing how you split that out and organize it, and how you distinguish between your virtual and in person. And just while we've had a lot of great conversation coming in, obviously not just for those, thank you for coming off mute, but just in the chat as well. So just want to With that, Sebastian, I'm happy to pull out some things from the chat, or if you'd like to move to challenges.
I'm going to jump to the next slide actually, because Kim really gave us a great segue there. So
Perfect.
on this first section, we were really talking about supporting those interactions between network members and hub staff, and you gave so many great strategies and ideas of how that has been working for you all. On the next slide, the other aspect would be around that training and technical assistance component. So when we had talked before about the importance of network staff really being the ones who help to support that like solidification and connection to the material that's being shared in meetings and the application of it in their program, in the network members' programs. One of the things we were thinking about is that in virtual settings, we're curious about what strategies you've used to support that building of home-based provider capacity. So how do you, in a virtual environment, do knowledge checks or understand where people are at in order to drive that content forward? I'm curious if people have strategies. And also, one other thing, as we're going through these slides, if there are things that you have questions about, if you're like, actually, like we were doing these virtually and we want to know from other hubs this question, like we have a question about how we can do this better, feel free, please, to also come off mute and ask that, because we are in such a supportive environment where people have such great ideas and we want to capture those too. Hi, Shemaine. Can you?
Hello, I had a quick question. I just wanted to make sure I heard something right, and I don't know who said it. Did someone say they're using virtual as almost like a supplemental meeting space to connect during the month? Did anyone say that, or are they just using it just for their actual meeting? I'm just wondering if I heard that correctly. I guess not. Okay. Thank you.
So, sorry, I had my hand raised. I don't know if you were referring to, we do in-person meetings, and then we also additionally do a monthly virtual provider network meeting, but they have two distinct purposes. So it is, I don't know if you would call it supplemental, but our virtual meetings are intended to share like critical, timely updates related to licensing or scholarship billing or things of that nature, and also to provide an opportunity for providers to share with one another any information that would support other providers or successes with their business. So they're very distinct in what the purpose is for each. And then I also forgot to add, that following our virtual meetings, we always send out an email to everyone in our network summarizing the meeting content and then the attachments for any links or brochures or flyers related to what we shared at that meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Kim. I think that's good, because sometimes I'm sending too many emails for all those resources and things that we can share. So I like the idea of having an optional virtual meeting just to capture some of that information. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Kim and Shemaine. Colette, I'll have you go next.
Hi. So we have 4 networks and we typically do it in person, but if it's weather related, then we'll do virtual. But we do offer a once a month for all 4 networks to get together virtually on a training for an hour. So then they get to see each other too.
Thanks for sharing. Rebecca?
We also do a supplemental meeting that's always in addition to our FCCN meeting, and we call it a member meetup, and it's just an hour long, 1:30 to 2:30 in the afternoon, and it really is agenda free, and it's just a space where our providers can come to connect, also receive another hour of training time and bring questions, and then we also try to bring any resources that we come across along the month, so a little bit less structured than our actual FCCN meeting, but just another opportunity for them to connect with us and each other.
I actually just started something similar. Last week was the first time I'm just holding an open office hour on Fridays from 1 to 2, and any of the providers in the FCCN can drop in and discuss things they've learned or things they want to share with the group. So it was great last week. I'm hopeful that it will continue to be.
Awesome. So Kim, you're doing that every Friday? Is that what you?
I'm rethinking it. I was going to do every other Friday, but now I'm thinking it might be easier to do it every Friday. And if nobody shows up, that's fine.
Yeah.
I can always work while it's open, but it just might be more consistent that way than trying to remember which week is it.
Thanks, Kim. Rebecca. Anybody else want to share? I think in terms of some other strategies, this might have been shared off mute, but just I know First Steps Kent has their exit survey in the chat. I've seen some about using Kahoots and polls to help engage participants and kind of gauge learning there. Smaller breakout rooms.
Yeah, these are fantastic. And I also think, too, one of the things we always see when we have these conversations is that the variety. I'm seeing Joni talking about in the chat, talking about, offering, like trying different things, like offering one thing, and then sometimes that it doesn't work for network members. And so I did want to stress that, like, we are trying to make sure that we have it as open-ended as possible, while also having the rationale to back us up if we ever need to answer questions about how the meetings are run across the initiative. So we want there to be variety, and we want that to support your network members. And so when we have these conversations and can capture all of the rationale that you put in there, the better. And so, like I said, if you are one of the hubs that is looking to do more virtual meetings than the 5 that our compliance team was like, yep, all good, we definitely want to have those conversations in progress meetings, because we can continue to document this. And we will share out the ideas that folks are sharing, because we know that having a menu of options to try out with your network members might be the most helpful, especially when you're looking for those things that, like Joni had mentioned in the chat, of like, what else can I try? What else can I offer and try and see if it will work? Because it won't be the same thing for everybody. Awilda, did I see a hand raised?
Yeah. Yes, I just want to add, I know there's some members that are saying that they struggle with workday, like during the workday meeting with their members, but I just want to address how we address that, because we know there are little sleeping. We schedule it from 1:30 to 2:30, and we say that it's more of a conversation and it's a more relaxed setting. So if they need to have their mics off, that's fine. They can just put anything in the chat that they would like to add. And we understand that they might have to step out to attend to a little. So just being flexible and meeting your providers where they're at.
Thanks, Awilda. Joni?
Follow up with that. Your regular monthly meetings during the workday, I poll my group and have them kind of pick the day and times that we meet based on the majority of feedback. I'm just wondering, because not all mine have ones that nap, and nap times are a little skewed because of my programs that offer second shift care. Their kids nap a little later, just, all those little individualized pieces. But I was just kind of wondering, with mics off and kind of that limited participation availability, that's the piece I was wondering, is like an open office hours, or is that your monthly meetings?
That's just a supplemental meetup.
Oh, fabulous. Yes.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for clarifying that, Awilda.
I have a quick question about office hours. When you offer office hours, are you offering an hour of training or no?
Yes.
I had not thought about that, but I believe that that would probably be a good idea.
That said, if you're offering office hours with including the training element, how are you running those through my registry?
Correct.
Okay. And my registry just approves it as like, what do you put that under for training?
Rebecca can takes care of that part with my registry if she wants to.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I offered it as a drop-in, kind of like come and go, touch base, any cues, but they prefer to just text or call as needed. So I'm interested in learning about that, how you guys do that with an hour of training. Thank you.
I built it up in my registry as kind of like a peer connection type meeting. And I can look up the format and share it out after the meeting as well, if that would be helpful. And it is, so they do receive the 1 hour of training time, but it's not something they receive compensation for.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that, Rebecca. Thank you. I like having those options to pull from.
Yeah, Rebecca, could you share that with, because we can put it in the post PLC email and share it out with everybody?
Yep, I will send it to you.
That's awesome. Thank you for that work.
Rebecca, I have a quick question about that. When you create this in my registry, are you using the same course over and over again for the event? You're just duplicating the event? That was something I wasn't sure on, and I could not find any resources in my registry to state if you're having a monthly meeting, am I duplicating the event over and over again, or do I need to change and do a new course topic for each event, similar to your office hours and your peer connection?
For the member meetups, just the 1 hour virtual, I just reuse that same course and schedule it monthly. But for our monthly FCCN typical meetings, we redo a different one every month.
So jumping on that question, if you're reusing the same course and events, they're only getting that hour once because they won't get duplicate, multiple hours of attending for duplicate trainings in my registry. Are you seeing that? How does that on their training report?
I reached out to my registry and they told me as long as it was a new event that they would receive more, they could receive multiple credits for it. So I don't duplicate the event, I reschedule the event. And I don't know if that makes a difference, but we did reach out to my registry.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, this is something that I also want to learn more about. So I feel like this could be a really valuable PLC work session that we do all together. So thank you so much for bringing this up and raising all of these questions and fantastic ideas. As Amanda had shared, we're gonna segue on to our next spot in the agenda, but we will go through the chat. And we will go and make sure that we've entered in everything that you had said into these slides. So when you receive the slide deck back, it will have all that information in there as well. So thank you again very much for your collaboration on that. All right, so I will go back to sharing here. All right, so we're now going to segue over to talking about the meeting reflection tool. And so to get us all on the same page and switching gears from the last activity, first what we're going to do is open the document. I'm going to put a link in the chat that it goes to the facilitation tool that we're going to be talking about. I know we'd also sent over some questions in the pre-PLC email. But if you haven't had time to get to that, the other thing I'm going to try to do, so please do try to open this link that I've put in the chat and see if it opens for you. If you have any difficulties with it, I'm also going to put a PDF. I'm going to attempt to put a PDF in the Zoom chat here. and it appears to have worked. Yay. So it would be great if you can open the link, because our activity that we're going to be doing will require being able to add someone in your group is going to need to add a comment to that. So please do try to get in there. But if it's not working, you have the PDF. We're going to take 5 minutes right now just to individually reflect on these 3 questions before we get into the instructions for the activity. So take 5 minutes, please.
All right, thank you everyone for reviewing. So now we are gonna move to our breakout rooms where you'll be using the Google Docs commenting feature to comment directly in the version of the document that we shared via the link and that you'll be discussing in your small groups. So when you get into your groups, you'll have 20 minutes and before I jump into the instructions, just to know, as you can see from the shared screen and from the link, all the instructions that we're talking about are in the comment that Seb made. So no worries, you'll have it accessible in that way. So you'll have 20 minutes, and then what we'd like you to do is first, just identify someone that can open the link in case some of you had to use the PDF, just identifying one person that can get into the document. And then that person will be doing the commenting for your group as you discuss what stood out to you. And then lastly, just to make it easy to find your comments when you're reporting out, you're going to start any of your comments with your group number, so that just makes the process a little bit easier. To comment, you're going to highlight what you want to comment on and then just click add. So as a group, you'll use this comment feature to identify at least one element that your group likes or thinks is important. And then also identifying at least one element that your group would modify or change. You'll also see in the instructions that we have 2 optional items as well. And one is leaving a comment, typing in any items that you'd want us to consider adding. And then the second optional item is adding via a comment any elements your group has questions about. So emphasizing again that all of these are going to be done via the comment feature. And then when we return, we'll have each group share out just one comment that your group feels is the most important to share out. So just please make sure to, when you're in your groups, just to identify who will be that person sharing out once we come back together. All right, Sebastian, we are ready to rock and roll here. Welcome back. We'll give everybody a minute here. Okay.
I'm thinking we can stop sharing because everyone's just been looking at the document, so we can just see one another for a little bit while we're sharing out.
Perfect. Sounds good. All right. Well, we'll thank you all first just for your thoughtful review and collaboration in your breakout groups. Hopefully that time was just really fruitful, a time to connect. And would love to just start hearing, again, just looking for each group to just share one comment that your group wanted to lift to our broader group here. Who wants to get us started?
I can go ahead. Hi, Tess Gibb. I was with group 1 and we had a lot of really good discussions about a lot of things, but I will elevate our thoughts on the agenda development and facilitator preparation sections, which were some of our favorite sections. We really liked these because it was an ability for us as the facilitators to reflect on our network members and the best ways that we can support them, as well as adhere to like the grant guidelines and make sure that we're hitting all of the benchmarks where we should. We really liked the facilitator preparation tool as a way for us to think about our members and think about our vocal members versus, our quiet members and ways that we can support and include all of the providers in our network. And the agenda development and the facilitator preparation were both really key tools that we liked on this reflection sheet for that.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Tess, and lifting that piece too of just, we have a variety of network members, some who are going to be more vocal and some not. And so just that reflection and consideration. Great. Well, let's go with group 2.
I'm going to go ahead and say I don't know what group I was in, so.
Well, you can go next if you'd like. I'm looking for where your name. You were group 2, so that works.
Oh, okay. I'll go ahead. So just kind of building off what Tess said, I think it's a good way for them. We talked about how it was a good way for them to learn about the benchmarks, and then when we have our governing meetings, it would be helpful to be able to take the topics that they're coming up with and connect them, have them connecting them back to the benchmarks. So that was a piece that we liked about that. And overall, we just thought that it was supportive for creating an agenda.
Thanks, Kelly. Yeah, I like that added piece of not just telling them, but like having people reflect on, okay, really, what is that benchmark connection? Great. Group 3, room 3. If folks don't know, that was Colette, Kim, Sturgeon, Kristen, Michaela, Taylor.
Yeah, I can go for group 3. We really liked the agenda development section and the quality benchmarks and just making sure we have all the tools to have an effective meeting. So that was a piece that we liked.
Awesome. Thanks, Taylor. Room 4.
Hi, I took down the notes for group 4. One thing that we really thought about to build off of this in the post-meeting reflective practices when we're saying, was the guest trainer knowledgeable? We'd love to then build that into a database of the ones that are knowledgeable with a topic and a contact information, because as we all are searching for knowledgeable, and we all have providers that have some of the same exact, challenges and perspectives, that we would like to share this information as a hub and a network. And so we could all have access to some of these qualified, amazing speakers. So we just thought that would be something we could build off of this to do.
Thanks, Barbara. Thank you for sharing that feedback. And that's a great point of how we do some of that knowledge sharing as people are reflecting individually. Great.
And we felt like that it just, different parts of it were really effective to have us really take a look of where we're going based on what we've done, and to go back and use this tool. Parts of it maybe only quarterly, like some of the reflection at the beginning, but the other parts just to, as a team, to go through, because everybody has kind of a different reaction to the different meetings that we've had. So it all come together and to share how we all felt different parts that were successful and things we can work on.
Great, thank you. Okay, room 5.
So a lot of what's already shared was also captured in our group. We also like the piece with the benchmarks and going back to our why of our direction with an FCCN to ground us and root us to, what we're putting together and facilitating. I will be honest, I like this as a personal tool and a personal reflection. I would hate to see this become mandatory to have to be completed. Like, I feel like it would become tedious and then build resentment as opposed to building capacity. One thing that stood out from our group as well is when it comes to the guest trainer reflection, we liked these notes for the purpose of when we're connecting prior to training with our guest training, to kind of plan ahead of time to make sure that the trainers are building in some of these things. One of our participants shared that they had a trainer that they hired who for an hour and a half just talked at the group, and that was not at all the way they wanted that training to go. But that conversation piece wasn't at the forefront when they were, hiring this individual. So maybe a brief kind of checklist that we could look at for, like, when we're contracting, what are we asking of our trainers ahead of a time? Because a lot of times we get their presentation before they deliver it, but just so that we're mindful and we see that our intention is still there even when we're contracting.
Thanks, Joni. I love that, kind of building off like what Barbara said, that reflection after, but then also looking at that before piece too, and having what you need to, get the right trainer for you to meet your needs. And to speak to your first piece too, of just the difference of a tool, when it, you have to do it versus like something that can just be helpful. And just to clarify too, there in no way is that the plan for this to be a mandatory tool. This is just a resource that we wanted to build with everybody, and not just say, hey, here it is, but also like, how can it be an optional, something that's optional but helpful, and something that we can work on together, acknowledging that everybody here is bringing different perspectives to help make this the most helpful tool for you all. So thanks for lifting that. Great. We'll move on to our last but not least, room 6.
I guess I can do it. I took the notes for group 6.
Thanks,
So echoing quite a bit of what Barbara and Joni elevated as well, is that we felt like it was very helpful that that there was the reflection specific to the benchmarks, and that we think that that is really helpful. And this could be like really, really effective for a new facilitator who's just getting started. Maybe they're new to the hub, but our wonderings were kind of what Barbara said, is that some of these things maybe we check in quarterly, or maybe these are things that when we do our reporting, like our required reporting, maybe that's a reflection piece that's asked like of the hubs, like as a facilitator, what are your strengths, or like what are some of those pieces. But, or we talked about how we could make this maybe a Google form, and it was really quick to take that feedback, as opposed to having to fill it out every time. Because we were definitely concerned if we had to fill this out every single month, the facilitators, it takes a lot of time, and that would take away from that like valuable time with providers. So, that was kind of the gist of what we talked about, but echoing a lot of what you guys have already said.
Awesome. Thanks, Aubrey. And those are all great points too. And also like how, this tool is just kind of a just to get us started, and to have this one item, but like how it's utilized and even what portions are utilized could vary based on what meets your needs. And even how you mentioned, like, maybe this whole thing's good for a new facilitator, but how could some of these sections be used more on a quarterly basis? So maybe you have a separate tool, for that. So, this is, getting everybody started and not something mandatory, but like how can this be most helpful and supportive in getting us thinking as we look at quality implementation. So thanks, everyone.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so very much. I'm really excited to take in all of the different comments. We'll compile that into one document, and then as Amanda was saying, like the document we produce will still be a tool, like fundamentally a tool that you will then be able to take. You will know that it came from all of you, and then it goes into the different things that apply to what you're working on. So really the idea behind it is that when you have a question, you have something that is getting generated by the entire group. And I really appreciate Barbara, Joni, others who had mentioned that there are other tools that are attached to this that could be really helpful for us to continue spreading that value. We are looking into it, and we'll share more as soon as we can. So I wanted, with our last 10 minutes or so here, to just segue into the very last thing we're going to cover today, which is, I'll share my screen again, preparing for our network, our data collection in March. And all of my screen has gone away. Where did it go? Okay, here we go. I'm back. All right. So, so our next month coming up is data collection month. I cannot believe we're basically halfway through we're going to be halfway through the fiscal year by the time we're done with that. But the data collection for March is our sort of it's the one that's quite comprehensive, in that you'll be getting the hub survey, the roster update, and then also the network member survey that, if you remember, happens on a 6-month cadence. So every 6 months, there's going to be a network member survey. The network member survey includes the key data points that we really use to report on initiative success. It really demonstrates impact, and when people are willing to fill it out multiple times, it really gives us a helpful sense of their experience within a network and what they are working on, and what they're using the network to get, or what they're getting out of their time in the network. I do want to, again, emphasize how grateful we are that we've had such success in the past, and that is due, we know, to you all, the Hub staff, supporting getting those high response rates. I want to reiterate that we're here to support you with that process. We know that there is a lot of questions out there about how the data will be used, which data to fill out. And I want to reiterate that it's still the case that people can fill out, if they choose. It's still a voluntary survey. If they choose to fill out the survey, they have to identify who it is that's filling it out in those first couple of questions. And then every question after that is optional. And again, if people are truly against filling it out, they can choose not to fill it out. However, the most important thing that we want to make sure that we're sharing with people is that the data is anonymized for any sharing out purpose. The only reason we collect who they are is because we need to link them first to a hub, and second to any other time that they filled out the survey. Those are the important reasons that we collect that. Very few people see that information, and nobody sees it when it's being reported. So only the people working on that data, i.e. myself and Amanda and the people on our team, see that, and we anonymize it. But I'm happy to answer questions that you get along the way. So with our last few minutes, I wanted to just share two things that are new. There's one section of questions that are new, which is the provider voice scale, which was added by the Erickson Institute. And I'll talk about that in just a moment. And then lastly, we are trying to streamline how long the survey is for people who've already filled it out before. And we're giving it a try. So we'll talk about how we've streamlined the demographics section of the data collection. And we're going to do our best. We're really going to work on this. So the timeline for March, we are going to be getting you the reporting instructions with a paper copy to the survey and the link to the survey. The link is a little bit tentative. We're trying to get our Arabic translation entered in there, and then we'll immediately send it over to everybody as a live link. The survey then will be, we would ask that then you open the survey going into March, or when you are going to be meeting with your network members. We're going to do that same thing that we've done in the past, which is provide two reminder/progress dates where we give you a list of your roster. Basically, we give you your roster back and we say how many survey responses we have linked, so that you can have a sense of whether it's worth sending out a reminder or following up with people who believe that they filled out a survey but maybe didn't hit submit or something like that. We'll do that twice. The survey close date will be 4/5, April 5th. And that will close around the same time. I believe I put that on the Sunday so that people have that additional weekend. I think all of the other reporting is 4/3, which is the end of the day on Friday, to submit the roster and the hub survey. And then we will be working really hard to do the reporting and the aggregate data and the anonymizing and all that to send back to you that material, your hub responses, and we can have a conversation broadly in the PLC about the data, following that up the week of 4/19 and beyond. So really quickly, I wanted to share the provider voice scale. It's another one of those boxes where basically there's a number of questions and people mark their agreement or their disagreement to agreement. The purpose of the provider voice scale, and it is linked in the slides, so you'll be able to see all of them ahead of time. The purpose of the provider voice scale is to add one final section of information to the provider experience. So our FCCN experience section currently has two things. It has what services did you utilize over the last 6 months, and people are selecting what kinds of things that they worked on, benefited from. And then the second one is felt impact. So they're talking about what they experienced, what the impact on that was, what their perceived impact was, and then now there will also be one final section, which is provider voice, which is just talking about how they feel seen within their network. This scale has been validated by the Erickson Institute, and they will be using that in their longitudinal evaluation. So that's why it's been added. I can answer any questions about it following the meeting. But just to let you know that that one extra section is in there. And then the streamlined demographics section, how are we streamlining it? There's a question at the beginning of the demographics section that asks them if it's their first time filling out that survey. If they say yes, all of the other questions will just be there, just as is, no problems. If they say no, then they'll have the option. If it's not their first time, they will have the option then to check another box that says use my previous demographic responses. We unfortunately at this time don't have fancy surveying technology that can fill in those responses for them. So that's the bummer part of this. The one thing we would say is they can mark yes, and then if they know that their age group changed or something like that and they want to update that, they could say use my last demographics, and then what we'll do is any responses that they then fill out, we'll take the most recent version of, but they can just know otherwise that we'll just be working with what we had before. This is not a perfect system, but this is in service of getting us a more easy to fill out, slightly faster survey. So we're going to give this a try, and I just wanted to demonstrate that or show it to you all first so that I can answer any questions that you may have along the way with how this will be filled out. Does anyone have any questions at this time? I know we have only a moment left, but just in case. And then otherwise, I'm always available, and Amanda's always available by email to support this process. And it will be in the instructions as well. All right, hearing none at the moment, we will go ahead and put the SurveyMonkey link in the chat for this PLC. Great, thank you, Amanda. And with that, I will stop sharing because we are all set. That was a really fantastic PLC. I want to thank you all again for your contributions to all of the thinking that's going into the FCCN work. It's really exciting to work with you all, and you'll be hearing from us a lot via email in the next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. I hope you have a great rest of your week.